Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of News Round for Anfield Index. The Reds are fourth in every single table you can care to look at. It was a great night in Marseille, wasn't it? A 3-0 victory away from home in Europe will always be good. There was a lot of performances to crow about. There was a lot of things to like. There's a lot of things still coming up. We still got a few concerns, but we should take these moments of enjoyment when we can. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from it's cold, wet, and windy in Edinburgh. The wind is howling, and I can see it outside. That rain's going sideways across the window. I hope it's a bit nicer wherever you are. And we start every news round with that age-old question, don't you? How are we? And maybe anything good from pleasantly surprised to that's more like it, Reds, wasn't it? 3-0 away from home in the Stade Velodrome, Marseille. And I've got to be honest, even as I'm sitting here now, when I watch the highlights again this morning, and you look over things, it didn't flatter Liverpool, did it? Not at all. I thought they were the better team. I thought actually Marseille were absolutely howling, in all honesty. They did have a few chances, it's fair to say. There was some good saves from Alisson and a few key blocks as well there from Milos Kerkez. But the Reds were well and truly worthy winners. And if you think, you've got Szoboszlai, Gakpo, and an own goal that Jeremy Frimpong forced, you also think about other moments during this game. You think of Mo Salah. What the heck was he doing there on his left foot as well? You expected that to go in the bottom corner. You expected Hugo Ekitike to have a few when put it wide, hit the bar, the kind of not quite the stanchion, wasn't it? Let's call it the bar. Had a few chances, didn't he? Offside, went too early as well. Florian Wirtz, another one who probably just took a bit too long at times, didn't he? In the middle of the goal, you were thinking just hit it and wanted an extra touch. Long story short, the Reds could have easily had more. It's funny, isn't it? Because everyone's become obsessed with possession, stats, and yet in this one, we only had 43% possession. Quite often in the first half, we just couldn't get those breaks working, could we? And even total attempts, they had 15. We had 11. We scored from all three on target. They had 4 on target. This was not a one-sided beatdown by any means. It was a great result in Europe, but it was fair. Generally, I thought it was more than fair. It wasn't perfect, but there was a lot to like about this. And when you look at that table as well, ladies and gents, now, there we are in fourth. It's all right to admit you had worries ahead of this one. You were especially thinking, Christ, Ibu's out, so we've got 1.5 fit central defenders. And Joe Gomez put pay to that, didn't he? How good was Joe Gomez last night, firing that ball through the lines repeatedly, almost those punch passes, as I call them. And people will forget the one where Ekitike hits the bar. It's a lovely feed in by Szoboszlai, but it's Joe Gomez that breaks the lines like he did repeatedly with that pass to Szoboszlai. It just gave us an extra dimension having 2 progressive centre-backs last night. It really did. And that's not a dig at Ibu, and obviously wishing Ibu well. Sounds like there is maybe a family bereavement or something serious there. So fingers crossed, or all thoughts are with Ibu in that scenario. But it maybe just gave Arne Slot a bit of food for thought. And because we get the win, God, maybe it doesn't seem a million years ago, that PSV defeat, but it's been a good run of form, hasn't it? In Europe, won 4 out of the last 5. And the Reds sit in 4th place on 15 points, going into the last game against Karabag. And if you look to get in that top 8, so you don't force the playoff, I mean, there's some huge names still outside of it, isn't there? Barca, City, Atletico, Inter. Some huge names are probably going to be playing these 2-legged playoffs. But a win guarantees it. And a win guarantees top 4 in the Champions League table for Liverpool. So there's a lot to like about last night. Now, naturally, it's a case of, can we carry it forward? Yeah, can we keep it going? And it was a close game still in a way. Yes, we deserved to beat Marseille, but in terms of the stats, that was interesting. And Arne Slot talked about this afterwards as well. So let's just have a little listen to what he said. And hopefully, because some of you keep giving me this feedback, I've tried to fix the volume issue. So let's try and have a listen to what he said after this one.
It took a while before we scored the second, because I think we had chances earlier on to score the second. And the thing that was for the first time different this season than in all the other games, that the moment we were having a big chance to score the 2-0 that hit the post or the bar, 10 seconds later, they had a big chance. And usually this season, that ball goes in and we're all complaining. But now the ball went over and we extended our lead to 2 and 3-0. And then the performance is still the same, but the perspective about how people talk about it is probably completely different.
He's maybe got a point there, Arne Slot. We shouldn't ignore football sliding door moments quite often, isn't it? Marseille had their chances, but I still think we deserved that victory. I still don't believe 3-0 particularly flatters us. I just thought we were the better team, and we can go into stats and bits all day, which we will a little bit, but you'll all feel how you feel about this one. And funnily enough, when you look at this one, you'll think maybe, just maybe, it might have taken around 6 months or different bits, but maybe we're just using the fullbacks as we thought they would be used, flying fullbacks, when they first came in. How good was Milos Kerkez again, especially defensively? Made some great blocks, didn't he? 4 out of 5 of his ground duels he won, 3 out of 5 in the air. He would throw his head at a brick, that lad. 3 tackles, 4 recoveries, and 1 chance created. Insane how good Milos Kerkez has been recently, especially when the criticism seems to have reached the loudest from some parts as well. And if ever you wanted evidence of just how bonkers modern football is right now, and social media and everything like that, look at this for an interaction. I genuinely didn't think I'd be saying this on the show, but call Bally Red. Accept my apologies, Milos Kerkez. I was way too quick to judge you. I can see now why you voted the best left-back in the Premier League last season. And Milos Kerkez replied with, at 10:45 last night, "It's okay, bro. Critics give me even more fuel." Milos Kerkez replying to Corbally Red. What a time to be alive. And he wasn't the only flying fullback that was continuing his good form either, was he? Jeremy Frimpong again. See this. He won the most tackles in the game with 4 today. Huge role in that second goal. It's funny in a way. I don't know if it's a Dutch thing even, but just hear me out on this. There's an element of Arjen Robben in Jeremy Frimpong. What I mean by that, I know he's left-footed before you jump in. Maybe just listen for a start. You know what he's going to do. You always knew Arne Robben was going to cut in on his left, didn't you? And that bender to the far corner. You knew what was going to happen, but teams couldn't stop it. Jeremy Frimpong, they almost know we just that little gallop before, he's going to go on the right, but he still did it. He still beat his man, and he forces that. Just the fullbacks are so dangerous at the moment. And weirdly, I mean, it's not sort of bag on Conor Bradley as well because he's got an injury or anything else, but isn't this why we kind of signed them, to be those flying fullbacks to make this happen? Just a thought, eh? Midfield, I thought, was efficient largely. I thought Grav and Mack were pretty efficient, is what I'd say. I mean, it's tweeted there, isn't it, from the account? Gravenberch creates the most chances, 2. He did get an assist, didn't he, for Gakpo's 3rd goal as well. He won the most duels with 9 and the joint most tackles 4 against Marseille. Did win a couple of good challenges in the area, it's worth noting, but I didn't think he was spectacular. A few times thought he could have even done better. McAllister, a little bit the same. That doesn't mean they were bad. I just didn't think they were brilliant. Who I did think was pretty special is Dominic Szoboszlai. The goal, the draft excluder, free kick. Always love seeing that a la Coutinho style. Bit of homework, as he said afterwards. Bit smart. And he's had a tough time recently, Dominic Szoboszlai, hasn't he? Misses the penalty against Burnley. Gets a bit of criticism for the slow it down things as well. The Barnsley, I don't know what you call it, giving away the goal, the back heel, whatever you label it as. Got a bit of stick for that at the same time as well, didn't he? But here, great goal. And even for the 3rd, it's that little flick round the corner to Gravenberch that gets it going. But all round, he was the official man of the match. It's important to say as well. Well and truly deserved. So it's good to see Dominic Szoboszlai back in form because he's easily been our player of the season, I know, but he's not been at his best in recent weeks. It's all right to say that. Two things can be true at the same time. In terms of any personnel, though, again, that we're talking about, we're praising a lot. No one was really below a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. The one person I was thinking about, I think most will be as well. We know that Ibu is currently in France for personal reasons. We know he wasn't involved in last night's game, as Arne Slot said, and Van Dijk afterwards. Everyone's extending their best wishes to Ibu there, and fingers crossed for his family and whatever that may be. Who knows if he'll be back for this weekend against Bournemouth. If he's not, Joe Gomez is a more than able deputy. And this is where you don't want to be too negative after that, but there is a sense of realism. Can Joe Gomez go for a second time in a week? That is a huge question, isn't it? Another question is Liverpool put in a great European performance away. One of the best halves of the season, I'd say. Is can they now follow that up in the Premier League? Can they now do that against Bournemouth at a very small Vitality Stadium where you'd think Bournemouth, and I almost in a way as I look at this, I wish Bournemouth were a little bit higher as well, but Bournemouth are, when you look, 15th in the league, not on a good run of form. So they have all the ingredients to trouble the Reds. They might well go keep it quite narrow, keep it tight on a pitch, see if they can break us down, because the Reds have a kryptonite of a low block, don't we? So it's not being negative, but it's can they turn it around, shall we say, or can they put it together back to back, however you want to phrase it. Now, for all the things Arne Slot has said recently, I don't think he's remotely helped himself. And I do think almost, we'll never know how exactly it works behind the scenes, but his media team could maybe just have a word and help him a bit. Did anyone clock this in the press conference? The question around Xabi Alonso. Maybe the bizarrest question I've ever heard. But have a listen, just in case you missed it. This is after Arne Slot's just been asked about Xabi Alonso and the pressure on his job.
He called me. He asked, what do you think about the team? Because I'm going to take over in 6 months. So can you tell me a little bit more? Or maybe earlier, maybe he takes over tomorrow. No. This is one of the most weirdest questions I've ever got. What's there to say to your answer?
I don't really think we need to play any more of it, particularly. It was bizarre. It was inappropriate. And I did feel for Arne Slot a bit in that moment. Again, it is important to say, I don't think he always helps himself. That TNT one where all of a sudden 2 titles in 5 seasons became 2 in 30, to use it for that one. Again, sometimes he can be a bit of his own worst enemy in what he's saying at the moment. And even on the boos, when he talked about that, I think of that one. I heard a few, but it wasn't a lot. I think once people went home and the emotions calmed down, they maybe thought it was a bit more positive than the results show. Well, one swipe over social media or different reactions from people, I'm not really sure positive would have been the word that's used. But, hey, let's not hammer Arne Slot too much. He's just presided over a great European away victory. We are 4th in the Champions League table. So as we talk about that one, there are a lot of positives there. In terms of other things off the pitch, we got a bit more updates around contracts, didn't we? That came through The Athletic. Paul Joyce had it out at the same time. We know a little bit more about, or from, I should say, Dominic Szoboszlai on his contract. As he said, of course I am happy here, but you know how football works. And that is something everybody has to take into account. There's always progress, but no decision has been made. I'll just keep on going every week, every training session, giving my best for the team and for the fans. Let's see what is going to happen in the future. There has been talks, but for sure, not any decision has been made. Which I think is key a little bit as well. If you're Dominic Szoboszlai and you're Dominic Szoboszlai's agent, of course, and they've got sense, they're obviously, I'm sure they are shrewd operators, you are just waiting to see what happens. You don't know if Arne Slot's going to be in charge if you're Dominic Szoboszlai next season. You've probably got an inkling. You don't know if the Reds are going to make the Champions League. So all that comes into account. And that's why he's saying, you know how football works. And if the Reds don't make the Champions League as well, are we honestly believing that big clubs will not come sniffing for Dominic Szoboszlai? Yeah. So when you bring all those three factors, of course, this might just be something we've got to wait for. And that might be across the board as well for contracts. We know about Curtis Jones as well. Did anyone see the link to Spurs, wasn't it, in Paul Joyce's article this week? Funny that. We've talked about Curtis Jones, me and Trev on the transfer show. We know that at one stage, contract talks were broken off and they agreed to revisit it just because of how far apart they are. And now a well-timed story comes out about Spurs. All I'll say is I think Curtis Jones has got a shrewd, a smart agent as well. Gravenberch been mentioned as well, alluding to Alexis McAllister potentially having talks. Not quite sure about those again from what we're hearing. I'm not saying that it's exactly right, but just what we've been told. I'd be more astonished if all four midfielders renewed their contracts. And I think McAllister are probably for a lot the one to watch. We'll see, though. We'll see what the future brings on that. In terms of youngsters, I'm not going to spend too long on this, but the young lad at Sheffield Wednesday who Manchester United and Liverpool put in bids for has chosen Chelsea. Because the suggestions are, according to the Sheffield Star, they've agreed the financial package with the club, Sheffield Wednesday, around $500,000. The best financial deal for the kid as well. We'll see where his career goes, or maybe doesn't, now that he's chosen Chelsea. That's one that won't be coming to Liverpool. One in terms of youngsters that exited. Luke Chambers is joining Charlton Athletic on loan, which feels like a great move for this kid as well. That's a kid that many years ago they had real hopes for at the academy. You know, play left back, left centre back as well. You know, so even in a back three, back four potentially had real options, but injuries, you know, interrupted times at Wigan and other loans. So hopefully he can get his career back on track. And even if long term that isn't at the club, just seems a good move for him. In terms of other red hot links, Indy's had this before, we've mentioned it before, and the noise just gets louder on this one. Liverpool are showing strong interest in Mickey van der Ven as recruitment plans continue to take shape. One to watch closely as Liverpool assess defensive options. And that was Matt Barlow in the Mail yesterday. Now, important to say, this is 100% for the summer. We've mentioned that before on the transfer show, but it's stood up now by multiple journalists. It's important to say that multiple, not just one, a number. Liverpool are interested in Mickey van der Ven. And more importantly, from what we've got, Mickey van der Ven would love to leave Spurs because of their situation, everything that's going on. Not interested in contract renewal talks at all with Spurs. And his dream destination, as Indy and others are reported, would be Liverpool. There's, of course, that famous picture, isn't there, in that commentary provided, when he went to, got packed or snapped or put it on social media, who really cares, with his dad at a Liverpool game. Yeah. It's interesting, though, Mickey van der Ven, the injury record, big question mark. The aerial duel success below 50 this season, big question mark as well. And obviously, take a moment here for FB Ref, moment of silence. Done, because they've obviously lost all their stats head stuff as well. So that's a shame for us, shame for a lot of people that way as well, isn't it? Publicly accessible data going down the pan. But back to Mickey van der Ven, I think he'd do brilliantly in a 3 with that pace as well. But in a 2, I'm a bit unsure for Liverpool. So we'll keep an eye on that one, but there's clear interest from the club. In terms of other reporting as well, Marseille had this, Indy had it as well. So Indy put it out, didn't he? According to multiple sources, Xabi Alonso is ready to take the Liverpool football manager's job when called. The ex-Real Madrid coach believes he can make a world-class unit with the players he has at his disposal. And of course, Marseille had the same out, didn't they, as well, that he'll do that, which is a little bit contradictory to the Times reports, which said Xabi Alonso now wants a break and a rest from football, and it'll be the summer he's looking again. Generally, that's our info that we've got on the transfer show, me and Trevor at Anfield Index, that I think others have reported this. It's no shock. There are zero plans from the hierarchy FSG, however you want to phrase it, to replace Arne Slot right now or his position being under threat. Again, we know what could happen in the summer with a year left to go on the deal. But unless something goes drastically wrong and we get no nights like we saw last evening, there's no real chance, I think, of a change, whether you want that or not, whether you're willing it into force. Could only report what we're told. Now, the other story that kind of came out sort of early this morning, late last night, realistically, if people are starting to serialise it, and this is one where Mo Chatra will probably need his angina spray ready to review all this. But Deloitte's 2026 Football Money League report is up in terms of revenue, and the Reds jump right up it, don't they? They jump to 5th in there. And importantly, some other clubs who were in there went to the World Club Cup, which of course we did not at the same time. But most importantly, we are the biggest earners in terms of the Premier League. Liverpool are 5th, the highest placed Premier League team, ahead of Manchester City. Only the 5 million in it. What's the 5 million in it between friends, eh? What's the 115 charge, 130, isn't it, between friends at the same time as well? Yeah. In terms of this coming week, because we also talk about on News Round, we know the Reds are staying in Marseille for the day, aren't they? And flying back later. Federico Chiesa went, had a knock, as Arne Slot said, so removed from the bench, couldn't make it on there despite being named, but they think he could be okay for Bournemouth at the weekend. Not that he's going to start, of course, that Mo Salah's back in the team, but there's a huge weekend coming up, isn't there? I mean, Bournemouth away, 15th, as we said, the small vitality pitch. The Reds have 5 teams 3 points behind them. So it's very feasible, without a win, on Saturday evening, the Reds are not in the top 4 anymore. And it is 5:30, in case you missed that, at the vitality. Just seeing as well. To be fair, Chelsea, United and everyone play afterwards. That would be great, wouldn't it? The Reds could get a win, extend that gap and put pressure on the rest. Though Sunderland are the early kickoffs, they can go level on points with us as well. It's a huge week now, isn't it? In terms of, there's a real positive start. There was so much to like about Marseille, but now there's a real question mark for these Reds. Can they go again? Can they build some semblance of form? Can they get on a run? I'm saying this, I've not got much confidence, to be honest. And in fact, like Arsenal away, Inter away, Real at home, usually the bigger the opponent or the context, the better we've done in these one-off individual games. It's actually teams in that bottom half of the table who might make it difficult. And Bournemouth have lost Semenyo. Tavernier looks like he'll be out as well. Might be going to make it tight on a small pitch as well. This is a tough game for Liverpool coming up. But a win just puts a bit of bounce in everyone, doesn't it? And that's before Karabag and hopefully Champions League is locked up. But I said it at the start of the show for you, ladies and gents. Liverpool are 4th in every single table you can care to imagine. There was so much to like about that last night, wasn't there? Goals, could have been more. Flying fullbacks. Arne Slot will talk to us on Friday again. Let's hope Saturday 5:30 brings similar joy. More positive than I thought I'd first be, but there we go. On Thursday, the 22nd of January, that was another news round for Anfield Index.